So Nintendo finally released the story trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. I heard it's pretty good. I might check it out. Oh my god! I'm gonna be honest, I was planning a much shorter video that was just gonna be me briefly going over all the things I liked about the trailer. But there's so much, so I just thought, why the hell not? Remember to leave a like below, and make sure to leave your Tears of the Kingdom thoughts and theories down below in the comments while you're at it. If you feel like it, you can even subscribe. Now without further ado, the analysis. The trailer opens on a beautiful shot of Hyrule at sunset, the light shining on not just the kingdom below, but also the sky islands now floating above it. In the next shot, we can see a soldier construct fighting a choo-choo on one of these islands. I could be wrong, but the landscape behind him looks quite similar to the area we saw Aonuma wandering through in the gameplay preview. We then see one of the ranger constructs using an axe to cut at a tree. These machines are likely the caretakers of these islands, doing jobs like sweeping up dirt and planting trees. Behind the construct, we could see what looks like a rail, which could be used by Link to traverse the gaps between some of the islands. We then cut to this shot of Link falling past this mysterious structure that has appeared in almost every trailer so far, before the title appears and the main Zelda theme triumphantly returns. In the background, we could see one of these mysterious cubes floating in the sky, which seem to have some sort of connection with the three Lomai labyrinths. Link then lands somewhere in, I think, Hyrule Field. We could see one of the deactivated shrine-like structures to Link's right, and in front of him, we could see a mysterious ring structure near Kakariko Village, which we get a better look at later in the trailer. Hateno Village is shown next, spawning some new improvements, such as mushrooms? Mushroom! Castle Town also looks like it might get the Tarry Town treatment, with camps set up and seemingly ready to rebuild. Yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna go. We then see Kakariko Village, which looks fairly similar, with the exception of this massive ring and some other fallen pieces of Sky Island, which appear to have some scaffolding around them, as well as another one of those new shrines. The next shot is pretty interesting, as Link is running out of Typhlo Ruins towards Hebra, where we get a good look of the storm above Hebra Peak and the North Lomai Labyrinth, as well as some of the islands are floating above the area. We then cut to Gerudo Desert, where something begins to emerge beneath the sand. Now, I might be completely wrong, but the structure that appears looks almost like a pyramid, not unlike Ganon's base of operations in A Link to the Past. We then see Hyrule Castle beginning to rise on a fountain of malice with pieces of Sky Islands falling around it. We see this same event from just outside Kakariko Village, where Link was standing in the Breath of the Wild story trailer. The next shot is one of my favorites, featuring the man himself, Ganondorf. Maybe. Facing the Blood Moon, hair long and red as malice, he actually looks a lot more like Demise than he does Ganondorf in this shot. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The next shot is an extended version of the one we have already seen, Zelda falling into the chasm and Link failing to catch her in time. Although, right before she disappears into the darkness, she begins to glow, suggesting that she is saved by someone. By who or what, we don't know. We then see Link walking across the Gerudo Desert, now littered with sinkholes. Then he is next seated what I could only assume is some sort of underground magma area, with these incredibly old Zonai structures off in the distance. The next shot is quite strange. Link is inside a snowstorm on a sky island with a flying boat above him. After this, he could be seen jumping into a bubble of water that looks like it is being created by these platforms, which may or may not hint at underwater exploration. Link then is diving down a very long tunnel filled with lasers he must dodge. Interestingly, when Link stops diving and goes into freefall, we can see that he's wearing a new outfit, some sort of wingsuit. This is a really cool idea. I'm glad Nintendo seemed to be adding new armor sets that do more things than just fire resistance. The next scene appears to be inside the spherical island that we saw in the February trailer, with Link seemingly rotating the outer shell. We also see this strange machine here, which was briefly shown during the gameplay preview. People have been speculating that this is some kind of shop, as the icon on the map seemed to line up with this object. Link has then shown paragliding through what looks like one of the Lomai labyrinths, with one of the walls moving in to crush him. I absolutely love this next shot so much. Link is riding towards Fort Hateno, construct spear in hand, where it seems like the regular folk have taken up weapons to fight the encroaching monsters. This is very cool, as later on in the trailer it even looks like we can recruit and travel with these NPCs. The next scene is Link ascending on a Sheikah platform with what looks like a winch or cable attached to him. This is the same object as one held by the Guardian arm of the February trailer, which probably means that this will act as some sort of transportation. Also of note is the Sheikah slate he is holding, which is plugged into the cable. I have no idea what this means or why he has it, seeing as Zelda has it in the artwork, but I just don't know. There's so many unknowns with this game. It's very difficult to make these videos because it's just so many mysteries everywhere you look. It's crazy. The next shot is extremely interesting, as the figure shown looks to be somewhat dragon-like in appearance, although notably it has large ear-like protrusions similar to the figure in the mural, which we might even see later in the trailer. It's hard to make out, but behind this figure we can see what looks like two others may be free. Could this be the mysterious Zonai tribe? Maybe. Now on horseback, Link appears to be somewhere around the Loshlo Harbor in the Necluda Sea. Interestingly, where Ebon Mountain and the broken heart-shaped lake are, there now appears to be a cherry blossom tree, which were only present in very select locations in Breath of the Wild. It's hard to pinpoint the location of the next shot, but to me at least, it appears either underground or perhaps even inside this tower. Anyway, what is more important is what is coming out of the wall of this structure. It appears to be a giant construct, and the way it is emerging from the wall is very reminiscent of Godan, a mechanical boss from Wind Waker. The next shot has me a bit confused, as Link turns around to find himself in the sanctum of Hyrule Castle. However, it's in its pre-calamity state. I think that this might be some sort of playable memory. Also, the particles around the floor of the sanctum look very similar to the particles that appear to envelop Zelda, leading me to think that this is something to do with some sort of Zonai magic. The next shot is of Zelda, who isn't dead! Yay! She's standing in the same spot where she was in the February trailer, with what we can now see are moving gears behind her. She is also wearing a new dress somewhat similar to the one she wore 100 years ago for ceremonies, but this one has Zonai jewelry all over it. She is being told by someone that they rely on her Knight of the Master Sword, which we then see in its pedestal in Korok Forest, interestingly completely free of malice damage. I'm thinking that this will either be another one of those Zonai apparitions, or this shot will take place at the beginning of the game. We see this figure approach Zelda, his face hidden, but he is very clearly connected with the Zonai as shown through his clothing and jewelry. Zelda then looks up with the figure, which is really the only thing of note in this scene, aside from the gemstone on the back of the figure's hand, but we'll get to the importance of these gemstones later. Cut to Link crouching on that strange stone bird glider. In the background, we could see that piece of Sky Island he was manipulating with Ultra Hand in the February trailer. The next shot is more of a general one of the sky, with some Sky Islands standing out, like this one shaped like a flower, and this one with a tower on it. Link is then seen fighting two soldier constructs with a royal shield fused to a royal claymore, which he uses to parry the attack of the first construct. Link is then flying over the top of that spherical island from earlier, the outer shell of which is rotating. Link is then seen fighting something in a cave in Death Mountain, while two Gorons watch on. It rolls around like a Goron, but why would it be hostile? Maybe this is a Goron corrupted with malice, as there seems to be a lot of that on Death Mountain at the moment. The next shot is rather interesting, as Link is jumping on what is essentially a giant trampoline with Tulin, Teba's son. He appears older in this game, showing that at least a little bit of time has passed since the end of Breath of the Wild. Off in the distance, we can see another one of those flying boats, which combined with the snow means that this is likely the same area as the last shot. Link then appears to be riding around the Dueling Peaks area, this time with a wagon in tow. The wagon is holding 4 NPCs and appears to have been fused together. Now around the rim of the Elden region, Link uses Recall to shoot an Octoroks boulder back at it. After it is defeated, we could see behind Link what looks like the entrance to a cave, which houses some sort of blue material. Currently, it's unclear what this is. Now on Eventide Island, Link uses a rocket he has fused to his shield to climb high into the sky. He appears close to a monster camp. You can see a couple of blue bokoblins as he rises upwards, and interestingly, a strange tent structure is close by. It's identical to the ones at Castletown, so they're definitely connected in some way. Link is then seen taking a running jump off a ramp onto some smaller platforms. This appears to be happening in slow motion, as if there is some sort of gravitational force slowing his movements. Off in the background, we can also see a couple of these floating bubbles, one of which is flashing green, possibly indicating that the timer on it is ticking down. Link is now suddenly in some sort of fiery underground cavern, fighting a soldier construct in a minecart that is being propelled by a fan fused to the back of both Link's transport and the constructs. In the background, we can also see one of those strange Malice-like rocks from the February trailer. The next shot is rather silly, and what I'm sure many fans were thinking of when they first saw vehicle crafting as a thing. Link is driving what can only be described as some sort of tank towards a Taurus that has a bokoblin camp constructed on it. One of the arms of Link's tank begins to glow as it gets closer, so this is probably some kind of weapon that has been attached to the vehicle. Link is then riding on horseback through the Lanayru wetlands, fusing a piece of ruby with his arrow as he rides towards the monster camp. The armor Link is wearing appears to be a brand new set, with a headpiece with horns and a chest piece and pants that look like they're made of leather or maybe fur. Whatever it is very clearly inspired by the Sonai. The location of the next shot is too hard to make out, but the only thing that matters in this shot is the contraption that shoots out lasers in all directions when hit. One of the bokoblins in this unfortunate camp has one of those backpacks filled with ore. This one is carrying some sort of glowing rock, perhaps amber, although this one is a lot brighter. Maybe it's chew jelly, I don't know. Now this next shot made me so excited when I first saw it. A portal appears in the sky in that snowy area from earlier, and out comes a giant dragon boss. What this is, I have no idea, but it looks very much like it has the power of ice and is definitely evil, as we can see its eyes actually look very similar to the Malice eyes from Breath of the Wild. So many people wanted more bosses in Breath of the Wild, so to see Nintendo address this is amazing. Link is also wearing a new outfit in this shot, one that looks like it has bits of luminous stone attached to it. After that, we see an explosion of Malice, just like the one from the February trailer. That's pretty much it, there's nothing else to really say. The next shot is a clearer one of Zelda in her new dress and Zonai jewelry now more easily visible. It's hard to pinpoint where she is, but to me at least, it almost looks like she's standing up by or on the Bridge of Hylia, which would make sense given her likely role in this game. By far the most interesting thing about this scene is what she is holding. When the camera cuts to show her perspective, we can not only see the Master Sword at her feet, but in her hands is an object that looks reminiscent of the Amber Relics from Skyward Sword. We actually see one of these later in the trailer, and I'll talk more about it then, but I believe this is one of the titular Tears of the Kingdom. After this, we get an extremely short shot of Malice erupting from Ganondorf, who at this point is still a corpse. Then we see a beam of Malice hit the sky and create a massive explosion with what looks like those Malice shards flying out from it. From these shards, we see monsters emerge, bokoblins, moblins, but most interestingly, 3 Lynels appear, one of which has a massive unicorn-like horn on its head, but the other 2 appear to have antlers like a moose or a deer. The next scene is an extended version of the Malice breaking the Master Sword and damaging Link's arm. The Malice wraps itself around the blade before making contact with Link's hand, blackening it as it climbs his arm in a clearly agonizing process. So much of the Malice is clouding the blade and the arm holding it that it's actually kinda hard to see either one. And this is where things get crazy. Ganondorf is not only back, but somehow reverts back to his pre-sealing state. I absolutely love his design in Tears of the Kingdom. It's like a combination of his appearances from Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, with maybe a little bit of Hyrule Warriors thrown in too. Also, it has been confirmed by the man, the myth, the Chad himself, Matt Mercer, that he is indeed voicing this incarnation of the Demon King. An important detail is that the gem on the forehead is actually another Tear of the Kingdom, which probably holds massive implications in regards to the narrative. Although, what those are yet, we don't know. The next scene is of Link fighting a strange purple amphibious shark-like dragon, which is swimming through mud like how the Molduga is able to swim through sand. I don't really have anything else to say, but Link really seems to be fighting a lot of dragons in this game, huh? Tulin and Link can then be seen diving towards something, still in the snowstorm from earlier. As well as clearly aging a little bit, Tulin's design has also changed over time. Instead of a little feather on the back of his head that he had in Breath of the Wild, he now has a ponytail, not that different from Link's. Now, this is the interesting part I foreshadowed earlier about the tear-like object Zelda was holding. We see this new character, who looks quite similar to Zelda, with another one of those tears around her neck. This time, it is glowing. Her palm is also glowing as well, hinting at some sort of connection between the two. It is also worth noting that these tears are identical to these symbols on the mural from the 2022 trailer. The next shot had me kind of confused. A giant laser beam decimates an entire horde of Molduga, which we saw in the February trailer. This laser appears to be coming from the sky? I don't know, YouTube compression makes it way too hard to see. Next we see Riju spin around with two of Abosa's signature scimitar of the 7. She causes a lightning strike, which is interesting because she never had this ability in Breath of the Wild or Age of Calamity without the Thunder Helm. Maybe she's learning to unlock this power. After all, Abosa must have figured out how to cause lightning strikes at some point. Link is then seen looking ready to go into battle with a Goron, Gerudo, and 5 Hylians by his side, one of which is on horseback. This ties back to what I was saying earlier about recruiting characters to fight alongside us. This is really going to be the Avengers Endgame of Zelda games, isn't it? Link is also holding a sword that looks like it is a soldier construct horn attached to the hilt. Something that I'm sure everyone loved in the trailer was this scene of Link fighting a higher tier of soldier construct alongside Prince Sidon himself. The Sky Island they are on actually appears to be a completely new area that we've never seen before. One that looks like it's focused around water, which is pretty interesting. Construct is also using a spear, one with a weaker soldier construct horn attached to the end. The look of the construct as well definitely indicates that it is a higher tier, as the headdress it has looks very ornate. The next shot is of Link looking up at something. Not much to say here except for the fact that this looks like it takes place at the beginning of the game when his arm gets damaged. The next scene is also kind of interesting as we see the new champions charging into battle, Riju and Sidon in front, with Tulin and presumably Yonobo following up. What they are fighting, we don't know, but what is interesting is the extra items they have. We see that Sidon has new gloves, with another one of the Tears of the Kingdom embedded into it, similar to the Zonai character from earlier. Tulin appears to have a tear around his foot, and Riju has one on her earring. This suggests that these characters will have a very important role in the story, and maybe are even connected to the 7 sages in one way or another. I also want to point out that I think this trailer's emphasis on Tulin is pretty interesting. I hope nothing bad happens to my man Tabor. The next shot is really cool. We see Link facing off against Gleeok, or what we can assume is Gleeok. We get a much better look at his design here, with his 3 very distinct heads, all featuring a malice eyeball and what looks like a crown of fire. Link's arsenal also is of note here as he pulls out a sword with what looks like a jagged piece of ice or crystal fused to the hilt. We then see Zelda holding the Master Sword, which is interesting because this either means that she and Link interact at some point during the story, or there might be some time travel stuff going on here. And then we are treated with an expanded view of the Zonai mural behind the main logo for the game. This time it is featuring Ganondorf and those new bat creatures. Our closing shot is of Zelda staring up in the sky, asking Link to come find her. I also want to quickly talk about the music the trailer used because oh my god, you have no idea how happy I was to not only hear that the main Zelda theme had returned after its somewhat noticeable absence from Breath of the Wild, but also getting the return of Ganondorf's theme. It was just too much. And we haven't even talked about the brand new track that this trailer used. I never thought I'd say this, but this actually might just beat the Nintendo Switch presentation trailer theme. I know, that is an extremely high bar, but I think this trailer at least matches it. Although this trailer doesn't quite give me the same goosebumps as the Breath of the Wild one, that part when the saxophone and the choir kick in still manages to give me chills every time I hear it. Seriously, that part of the song alone is contending for my favorite Zelda song of all time. It's just that good. After this trailer, all potential doubt in my mind instantly vanished. I can now say with certainty that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be one hell of an experience, and probably my favorite Zelda game, and given people's reaction online, something tells me I won't be the only one who thinks this way. I think that this trailer more than justifies how long we have been waiting. In just this 4-minute long preview, we have found out more than we have known for the past 5 years, and the fact that this game is just under a month away makes me so excited I have nowhere to put any of it, which is usually why I put out these videos, as a way to expel my excitement. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a video on this trailer, but after watching it again and again, I decided you guys deserved a video covering this. This will be my last video before Tears of the Kingdom releases. Don't expect a massive video when it does, by the way. I'm planning on doing a video on my initial thoughts a couple of weeks after the game comes out, and I've had enough time to play it. But I'm not gonna rush. I'm also not going to be uploading my playthrough anywhere, as I just want to sit down and enjoy the game when it comes out without needing to worry about making it into entertaining content. I'm sure all of you understand. With that all said and done, I hope you'll enjoy the video. As always, I'm a little late to the party, but that's fine. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like down below. While you're down there, make sure to comment your hopes and ideas for Tears of the Kingdom, and I shouldn't need to say this, but no leaks, please. That's all for today. I'll see you when Tears of the Kingdom has released. Until then, stay safe and stay subscribed.